Hi, I'm Chad Gripp. This is my wife, Teneille. This is my son, Chase, and my daughter, Stephanie. Interesting how we got here, huh, guys?
It's extremely interesting.
Yeah. His family came over from Belgium in the late 1890s and were farmers up until really the 1990s. That's really all we did was farm. I had a trucking business at one time. We hauled livestock, but we started into the ag retail business when you two were just very little.
I was teaching at Spring Valley and decided that I wanted to be home with the kids, and Chad had decided he wanted to take off into the retail business, and that was the opportunity for us to work together and build what we have today.
Yeah. So fast forward, Chase, Chase, you're now working with us here in the business. How'd you get here?
So really, I mean, I've been around this business my entire life. It's all that, for the most part, Stephanie and I remember is you being in a sprayer. I mean, there was a lot of times that I remember too, especially during the summertime when we weren't at school, you were in a sprayer. There was, you worked extremely hard with it, leaving at 3-4 in the morning to make jobs, get stuff mixed up, and we wouldn't see you get back till dark, way after dark a lot of times. Just been around it my entire life, around the farm. It's really all I've known. I was fortunate enough where you let me get in a little bit to the farm too, renting that first little 20 acres, went off to school, decided to go, kind of get some experience away from the business and the farm with Cargill for that first year. But I approached you a little over a year now saying that I wanted away from the corporate side of business and just the stuff I've seen there, and wanted to be back what I see that you guys were growing and what we continue to grow as a family, and came back, kind of hit the ground running with everything, done a little bit of everything here, sales, from being in sales to run the sprayer to, scheduling a lot of our drones and different sprayers, mixed chemicals.
You've jumped in and done a lot over the last year. That's for sure.
Just trying to figure out more, and, obviously I'm still young, so I'm still learning stuff. I was been around it my entire life, but you never stop learning. I mean, You're learning every day still too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Learn something new.
Well, and I think the kids always learned as they were growing up, because when I was in the chemical shed mixing, or they were around the farm or around your sprayer, we were always talking what chemicals worked where and what they did. And I always remember whenever we'd go by a bean field with volunteer corn in it, Chase always knew what that was, even when he was just the littlest of a guy.
Yeah, and that's, you brought back when you were in the chemical shed. That was, when we first started. And Chase, you remember those days where I was up 3-4 in the morning and gone in the sprayer. One thing we forget about is your mom mixed chemicals in the chemical shed all day.
Yeah, I mean, there was mom mixing chemicals.
Dad hauled do us for a while, and then Grandma Chris hauled for years. Yeah, she hauled tons of stuff too.
And, Steph and I were always around that, from riding with Grim Chris or riding with Papa in the tender to riding with you in the sprayer. So yeah, that's what we love to do. I mean,
yeah,
and it's kind of led into where we're at now.
Yeah.
So, Steph, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, like Chase said, he hit a lot of the stuff growing up. We were always around it, whether it was, the tractors in the shed and all the different containers being our playground of sorts, where you guys could keep an eye on us, or who was riding around with someone. It was always in the spring. If we needed to find Mom, she was in the chemical shed mixing if we ever needed anything. And through high school and stuff, I was normally a lot of times in the summer off showing horses.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit my freshman year of college, and I came back from Oklahoma, was my first summer where I was really full-time working. I was always around it, in and out, making runs to whatever you guys needed and all of that in high school. But that summer was really the first summer I was full-time and got into it. And through high school, I'd always had a passion for rural development and agriculture in general. And up until that summer, I really wasn't sure what direction I wanted to take that in. And then as I came back that summer and got more interested in social media, all that stuff is growing more and more popular, and you see a lot more information about agriculture and stuff like that. That really created a passion for me to advocate for agriculture and be even more involved, because you can't advocate for something that you don't know anything about.
Tell me a little bit about your last 4 years and where you think you're going to go here the next couple of years.
Yeah, so I graduated Bureau Valley here in 2019 and then moved down to Stillwater, Oklahoma to go to school at Oklahoma State University. Then March of that year, I ended up coming home last minute because of COVID. And at that point, I hadn't really secured an internship, and there was an opening to stay at home for the summer. Chase was at Cargill that summer, I believe, or were you in Wisconsin? But he was.
Yeah, so you bring up, that year, and we can touch on this a little bit more later, though, that first year we came back and that kind of marched through that June 1st time frame is where, both you and I were very active with it before I started, my first internship at Cargill there.
Yeah. Worked all summer until end of July, beginning of August when I went back down.
And you were really, you tendered, you mixed, you did a little bit of everything around the office and
just kind
in
of
the shed. So
filled in wherever was needed, ran wherever. Went back to school. I originally was on the pre-vet track at school. Dropped that, remained an animal science major, added an ag econ and law and legal study minor to get more of the business and legal aspects of the industry, a little bit more of a background on that. And then the summer following my sophomore year, I went to southwestern Oklahoma, where I did some undergraduate research through the Rural Renewal Initiative at Oklahoma State. And during that, I spoke with a bunch of small town rural Oklahoma people about, their political capital, the sustainability of their towns, what industry is there. And most of it is agriculture. It looks a little bit different than what we know here. But those small towns, the main industry is agriculture. And where you can create more jobs in agriculture is the livelihood of those small towns. It's when those kids go off to college and they look to come back, but there's no jobs unless it's in agriculture, and a lot of those jobs have been filled for years, so there's nothing for them really to come back to, is what I learned there. And then I've had a couple other internships, and then this previous summer I graduated with my bachelor's in May. This summer I started my master's, remaining at OSU in international agriculture. Part of that in this 2-year process of getting my master's is I'll go abroad. Looking at New Zealand, there's a couple other countries that I'm interested in to do some research over there and see what.
And that research is going to be on also rural.
I'll focus on rural development and entrepreneurship in agriculture. So,
very nice.
I think what the very unique thing is there. You hear some of the other countries abroad too. Agriculture is such a big thing of what we do here in the United States. What any rural community, you say how agriculture looks different when you were doing those rural initiatives down in Oklahoma, but at the end of the day, these small towns, ag is still the lifeblood. You look at some of these other countries, Europe, a lot of the European countries too. They're kind of trying to shut down a lot of that agriculture. And it's the lifeblood that a lot of these people have known, and what we've known, and what, everybody in this community has known as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of that is the reason I'm going into my master's and stuff like that. Like I said earlier, you can't advocate for an industry that you're not educated on. And hopefully one day when I go advocate for agriculture, I need to know a little bit about everywhere, because while it may look different in different communities, the roots of it is still the same, and you still need that support. And there's a lot of misunderstandings and lack of education that needs to happen for agriculture, especially as we look into using such progressive technology like we are here.
You beat me to the punch right to that. I think a lot of the issue is too, you look at a lot of the poll and stuff, people don't know what farming, what agriculture, how much science and technology goes into this stuff, from our soil tests to prescriptions in planters to seed genetics and the chemistry of all the chemicals that we have to offer. That's before you even get into the technology. We have our drones, but you look at, there's autonomous tractors. I know there was one of those in this area that was tested out this year. I mean, everything keeps evolving. It's so different from what a lot of people that haven't been around it the entire life, that haven't been immersed in the community that is surrounding agriculture think. There's so much growth there.
And I think that is one thing you guys have been lucky with, as your father and his father, your grandfather, both look at the technology and embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dad'll be 80 this year, and I mean, he latches on to that technology. I mean, he likes the auto steer, the high speed planters. I mean, really.
Remember the year that Papa got the precision planting technology? He was so excited about that, like learning how to do everything on the iPads.
I think you and Dad did make a video that year.
We did a little bit about that year. You look at where he started, a 2-row planter that you had to run wires across the field and everything, and now he started there, and where he's ended up now with 24-row high speed hydraulic downforce, implement guidance, different seed prescriptions, for variable rate across ground. I mean, it's been incredible what he's seen. You think of where he came from and where he's ended up now. What are we going to see? What are we going to see in your guys' lifetime? What is Stephanie and I going to see? We keep seeing this huge growth, and these new technologies pop up year after year after year. And we keep thinking, well, what's next? Where is stuff going to end up?
It's going to be interesting. And I obviously didn't plant with a 2-row planter growing up, but, really everything when I grew up, it was very manual. There was no auto steer. There was none of that. Mm-hmm. And, I do remember growing up, you prided yourself in driving straight, and after you planted a field, you liked driving by it once the crop came up and said, hey, I planted that, I drove straight. And, I even still have a little of this in me. You can sometimes reject the technology a little bit because of your roots and your pride, but this technology it's not going anywhere. It's just going to keep coming. It's going to keep changing. And we keep going back to our drones. I mean, that's just been a great thing for us and a great thing for our customers. We launched that road to 1 million acres where, that's our commitment to spray 1 million acres with drones, because we think that is the best technology right now. And it doesn't end there. That same technology is in tractors. It's in combines. It's
even in your chemicals and your inputs that you put on there, with your micronutrients, your PGRs,
the biological technologies that are going into all these products. We're literally going to have here one of these days a planter box treatment that controls one of the biggest problems we have in the Midwest as far as corn production goes, and that's rootworms.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a biological that's in a planter box treatment. Meristem is leaps and bounds ahead, getting us into our planters, and it's really cool. And you have to, when you're as involved in it as we are, you have to really start to appreciate that and what it can do for our customers.
I think too, one thing you look at it, yes, we see all these improvements, but one thing that I think what kind of concerns me for myself with all these growth and technology is, kind of what you just referred to a little bit when you were planting. You were priding yourself on being able to drive that straight line. What we pride ourselves as a business is we need to stay true to our roots and what we've learned over this years, these experiences that we've had, like I said, from just you two mixing and spraying up until what we have now, is to make sure we don't forget too the lessons that we've learned. We've had auto steer since I started.
Mm-hmm.
I can't drive as straight a line as you. when I'm in the sprayer and stuff, all of the stuff that you have taught me on how to open up a field, how to approach this stuff from what you've learned before when you had foam. All this technology is phenomenal. What it can do is great, but to really kick that to the next level, we can't forget about the roots, all the lessons that have been learned before that.
You tie your roots together with the current technology, and it's pretty cool what you can do.
That's the important thing. You and Papa have passed a lot of that knowledge down to Stephanie and I, and there has to be a lot of the people that are our age and your age to keep passing those lessons down so people don't forget about it. They can still pride it on doing a really good job. When it comes down to it, if there's a little glitch in the technology, still having the capability to do the job.
Yeah, you still have to think the technology is there. It's at your fingertips, but sometimes how do we use it?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be structured, you have to be organized, and then you can really make good use of this technology.
Have the way that you've done it, the way you know how to do it, the way you know how to be very successful, but use that technology to fill those gaps and really kick that to the next level of the quality of job that can be done, the type of service that you can do that we do on our ground that we can offer to our customers as well.
And the efficiency. You talk about your roots and how you were opening fields and going in and how to attack that field to spray it or combine it or plant it. You still have to use those roots that you've learned, even with your drones, planning on how you're putting your drones out there.
What's the best way to map that field so that drone can do it in the most efficient way?
Yeah, efficiency is it's a very make or break game. That's the reason I majored in ag systems management. A lot of that was focused around how to make agricultural businesses run more efficient, how to work out the kinks and stuff so you can be as efficient as possible in anything that you do.
Yeah, and one thing that I think we have lost in the agricultural community are the kids that have moved away from the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Their dad may have taught them everything, but for some reason, they moved off and said, "Hey, I've got a better opportunity in another state. I've got a better opportunity in a city." I think what we have done with the drone business is we have taken some of the brightest young men and young women in the agricultural community. We brought them back to the farm, and a lot of these young men and women didn't have a dad that taught them how to drive straight.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do. They didn't have a dad or a grandpa that taught them how to open up a field. They didn't have a dad or grandpa to teach them how to drive a tractor, and to approach these young folks and say, "Hey, we've got a way that you can come back to the farm. You don't have to drive a tractor. You don't have to drive straight, but you can come back here. You can be engaged in agricultural production. One of the most important things in the United States,
in the world,
for that matter. You can come back and you can be hands-on. You don't have to know how to drive a tractor. And actually, I pride myself in driving straight and being able to do all that stuff. These young folks in their 20s, they are so more advanced than I am in the technology. It's crazy.
We heard that. Also brought up, you said bringing them back to agriculture into the farm.
Mm-hmm.
We have interns that were not raised on a farm, that want to be involved in agriculture production, and we are giving them an opportunity to learn and be able to go into agriculture production in a different...
We heard that this weekend. We had a couple of our drone pilots, their parents come back by too, and we were talking about, how fortunate we've been, how good they do. And they brought it up, kind of what you said, these people that are my age and younger, they're the perfect people to be doing that drone stuff, the technology. The one parent told us, he said, imagine me up there. I wouldn't know what to do, but these kids excel at it. Bringing them back, bringing people outside of agriculture back to these communities. It kind of ties into of what Stephanie is so passionate about. You know, how can we expand these rural communities? How can we grow these businesses? You know, more job opportunities in the technology side in agriculture, you know, where you don't have to just be interested in farming. You know, I think that's a mission and a job that, you know, you two are passionate about, I'm passionate about, and Stephanie is very passionate about with what she is going to school about.
You know, I was talking to, I think, Dad last night, and the U.S., and we were talking about my international ag degree and how the world is interconnected through agriculture. That's a simple, plain fact. And how important American agriculture is when it comes to technology and progress. Even if I go to another, say, more developed country, a first world country that has agriculture, their scale cannot compare to the U.S., let alone the technological advances that we're doing. And to see that really in my own backyard with the drones and bringing those people outside of agriculture into this industry is just a remarkable thing to see. And I think the last video Dad said with the road to 1 million, that would take about 200 employees, somewhere around there. And the fact is you're going to have to bring in people outside of agriculture. And agriculture really is more than just driving a tractor down a road and into a field or going to feed or whatever. It's going to take a lot more than just the people who are already raised in it.
Yeah, I agree.
You guys have come a very long way. You know, I'm back here helping now. You know, we have a long way to go, and, you know, just tackling the advancements that we see, you know, trying to be at the forefront of this technology with all these new things that keep coming on the scene. But I think, you know, we've done a lot of work. You know, we got a long way to go, though.
We do. We have a very long way to go. We have to keep innovating. This isn't, you know, it's not something where you get complacent. Okay, we figured out the drilling thing. Let's take it easy for 10 years. I don't think that's it. I think we have to, you know, each year we have to kind of step up the game a little bit, and I think that serves our customer base a lot better. I think it helps the community. It helps the young men and women that are in agriculture, and it helps young men and women that aren't necessarily in agriculture, but they want to be involved.
Yes, and I know, being married to you, that you will never stop. You just keep going. I think it's a vision for you, and
we don't
for us.
We keep pushing forward.
I think it's crazy when, you know, Chase is here obviously full time, and I'm not able to come back as much with school, and it being kind of a drive away. I think it's just crazy every time I come home, especially since I started college till now, the difference in the growth that we've had. I mean, just in how we mix chemicals. 2 years ago,
when you
a lot more manual labor, just putting the chemicals in the mix tank to everything. And when I say I grew up with it in my backyard, it was literally our backyard until just this year when we were able to expand to the 2 locations in Wyanett on top of the Sheffield location.
Yeah,
I think, you know, we brought up earlier on that COVID year when we came back. You know, that was the end of my junior year going into my senior year of college. And, you know, I was very fortunate. You guys were very good to me, you know, not making me come back all the time, letting me, you know, go intern in Wisconsin and, you know, doing a lot of this other stuff.
You had to see that stuff. Yeah.
That year when we came back, you know, we saw, you know, slow growth. And, you know, when Steph and I came back and we just dove right into it, I think I can speak for myself, and I'm sure Stephanie says the same way. That was when I really saw, you know, everything start to explode. I was trying new things, trying to stay at the front of everything. You know, since then it's just kept growing.
But you know what's really key to that too, Chase, is we are so fortunate with our employees.
Extremely.
Sales reps, sprayer operator. operators, truck drivers, office managers. I mean, the people that work with us are they're fantastic. And that can't be done without that. And then, it can't be done without the community.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the farming community, the town community here in Wyanett. I mean, we have been supported beyond belief. And without that, no matter what kind of ideas, I may wake up with in the morning, or whatever kind of technology at our fingertips we might have, without those great people, without our drone pilots, without our, like I said, with all our employees, it doesn't happen. And we've just been so extremely fortunate.
That boils down even beyond that. We've had a lot of, even our customers too. We've had people that have been with us since the beginning.
Since the beginning, we're at the same customers. Yes.
It's been, it's been incredible. We've seen some amazing things happen in the ag industry, with the business, with this community in the last 20 years. And I am extremely excited to see what the next 20 and beyond that brings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am too. And I hope you guys can add to the vision and the leadership that your mother and I have, and continue on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Right.
So, thanks, guys.
We truly are a family business.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
100%. And we'll stay that way.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.